In the 83 pit for Brian Vickers, took a quick 2-lap run out on the track and described his car as the grip off being good, but he slides out of the groove in turns 2 and in turn 3. So they made a carburetor change they were planning on anyway, and they also went to the rear end of this car, make some componentry changes. They're trying to get Brian the field that he's looking for. Remember, Brian ran very well here in the June race, ran top 10 solidly all day, and then the fuel mileage bug kind of bit him at the end, and they finished 21st.
Brian Vickers coming off a 5th place finish at Indianapolis. Now 3 straight top 10, 7th at Daytona and Chicago, and 5th at Indy. And a lot still up in the air here with this Red Bull team for 2010. I know Jay Fry going over to meet with the owners in Austria, and still the drivers unsigned as far as their future is concerned.
Yeah, really not sure what they're looking at and waiting on there. They've got a very talented young driver in Brian Vickers, and you know, for any success they think maybe they should have had and should be on right now, they need to make sure that they understand that the driver is a big part of that, and for any lack of it, I don't think Brian's been the problem. He's put that car up there and done a terrific job, and I would be signing him on sheet, because if they don't, somebody's going to pick up Brian Vickers. He's an excellent race driver.
Brian leads every 3 car. Brian Vickers coming off that 5th place finish last week, back in the garage area. Let's go down there.
And Doc, one of the best reasons to rent a scanner on race weekend is to overhear conversations that make you go, huh, really? Here was Brian Vickers on the radio 1 run ago.
Last run, last time we were on the racetrack, to roll through 1 in 3rd gear, for instance, my steering would go from the mark being 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Right now, to roll through 1 in 3rd gear, I'm having to go from 12 o'clock to 6 or 5 o'clock. That's not right.
Just unhook the shocks. I guess we'll check the tow here.
And one of the best reasons to have a Craftsman Tech garage is because you can have a guy like Tim Brewer explain to you what the is.
He knows what's going on with his race car, and he provides very good input.
Thank you, Tim. Obviously, the drivers have to be sensitive to little changes on the race car, and they're still working on the 83 down there for Brian.
Yeah, this team's just made so much progress this year, and see right there, Ryan Pemberton, the crew chief, big leader over there. They're just before winning some races. And that's what they needed to do, is take some time and get this set up right, and they're back out on the track. Brian Vickers, we're just going to watch his telemetry right here. You see turning 9,000 plus down the front stretch. Just want to see the RPM changes, and how you see that as it gets way down in the corner here, 6,000 RPMs. Now you're pulling back up. This is why this track is so unique. I mean, you've got to have an engine with a broad power range to be able to run here.
We talked in the first session, they used to be able to change, you used to shift gears here. You would have a transmission that you could shift, so you could get a lower gear, which would turn more RPMs to come off of these corners.
Yeah, and he's going down into turn 3. This is the flattest corner on the track, and it leads to the longest straightaway. This is where you would really want that extra gearing to, you know, pull a few more RPMs and really pull this car up off the corner. But now you see he's dropping down in the 6,000 range, and then it'll go all the way back up to the 9,300 plus.
You know, in years past, we used to see so many DNFs here because of engine failure, and just because of what you're talking about, how many RPMs and how you just punish the engines here. But in the last 9 races at Pocono Raceway, we have seen 2 or fewer DNFs because of an engine per race, and that means these engine folks have come a long way.
They really have. This place, like Dale and I were talking riding up here, it used to eat engines. I mean, this was the hardest track on the circuit on engines because of those extreme RPMs on the front straightaway. And then we started getting real creative. Like I said, started shifting and seeing just how hard we could be on them. Whew, man, that was close right there.
Well, the stars of NASCAR take on the tricky triangle of Pocono Race.
Thanks, Bob. Well, Brian Vickers been on somewhat of a roll here the last couple of weeks. A 7th, and a 5th has him up to 15th place in the point standings. Looking for a good run this weekend, but they've been in the news for some other reasons too. Jay Fry, Vice President and General Manager of Red Bull Racing. I know you were over in Austria, and of course the topic around the garage area quite a bit has been whether or not you guys are going to stay with Toyota. When will you sign Brian Vickers, if you will? Tell us how that process went over in Austria, and when can we expect some news out of you guys?
We had a great meeting in Austria. It's funny, one of the most unusual things about our team is that the owner happens to actually live 6,000 miles away. So to have a meeting is quite an event. It's a 3-day travel tour. It's, you know, a couple hours meeting, that type of thing. But the meeting went great. Red Bull's done some spectacular things up to this point in the sport. one of the things that we continue to do is they're relatively new in the sport, so there's a lot of educating, things that are going on, what's going on in the sport, what's going on in our world, that type of thing. So that's part of what the meeting was about. We have some good options. I mean, we're a two-car team. The sport's changing a lot. We want to make sure we can, keep up with the rest of the sport, and we should have an announcement shortly.
Okay, all intentions are to keep Brian, though, right?
Well, obviously, Brian's been a big part of the team since day one, and yeah, I mean, every indication is that we'll be moving forward.
Okay, that's Jay Fry. Of course, everybody and Brian's fans hoping that he'll stay with Red Bull Racing, but nonetheless, these guys have progressed really well over the past couple of years. JR?